know, but today we're going to talk about Pythagorean theorem. How can you use side lengths to determine whether a triangle is acute, right, or obtuse? We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem and its converse to solve problems. Use Pythagorean theorem in equalities to classify triangles. Let's talk about Pythagorean theorem, hypotenuse, Pythagorean. What? Didn't snow at my house. Hi. You don't have to write this down. You do have to write a squared, b squared, c squared. However, I'm going to modify that formula for you because we will play evil tricks on you sometimes. All right. Pythagorean theorem is probably the most famous mathematical relationship. States that in a right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs equals the square of the length of the hypotenuse. Okay? And yes, it's going to be written as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If you look on your formula sheet, upper right-hand column of your formula sheet, you'll see Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. However, this is how you need to remember the Pythagorean theorem. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Yep. Okay? So that is how I want you guys to remember the Pythagorean theorem. Nope. Right. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared.
No, I can't even get hypotenuse right now because you ain't playing.
Check it out. Find the value of x. Give your answer in simplest radical form. Okay? So if you set up the Pythagorean theorem, a squared b squared equals c squared, well, the problem's always going to be what side's A, what side's B, what side's C. H-Y-P-O-T-E-N-U-S-E. Okay? So, if we think of the Pythagorean theorem, leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared, then the only thing that we really need to worry about is identifying the hypotenuse in each of our problems. Okay? So, if you have a right triangle, get used to labeling the side opposite the right angle, the hypotenuse. We're going to do that for all of our Pythagorean theorem problems and all of our trig problems. Okay? We will always identify the hypotenuse.
Will it always be the longest leg?
It's always the longest leg, although based on the information on the board, you don't know that it's the longest leg, okay? It's the fact that the hypotenuse is always the longest leg, but you've got to identify it to get the problem started. Once you've identified your hypotenuse, the other sides of the triangles are legs. So then, when you put your numbers into the formula, leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared, it makes more sense. 2 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. 4 plus 36 equals 40. 40 equals x squared. We take the square root of both sides. The square root of 40 simplifies to 2 times the square root of 10. In your calculators, type in the square root of 40. See if it doesn't simplify.
1600.
2 times the square root of 10.
It does.
Simplifies it for you, right? Okay? It will. You just got there, right?
I'm literally
2 tenths and then 6.
Okay.
They always so late.
No way. What the heck?
Why?
Put
Always.
it on the bus, man. He can't even feel his fingers, okay? Leave him alone. Right? Oh, it's all my fault. Always my fault.
I got some hypotenuse.
Was there no heat on the bus? Ah, very good. Evan, I'll give you a rest later. Alright. Now, all of a sudden, I've changed it up a little bit. Mama. JV game canceled today. Varsity plays Bremen at 5:30 at home. My love.
Yep.
Hope you have a good day today, babe.
Ah!
Is that Caitlin?
Okay.
How long did you dip, Mr. Ross?
Hypotenuse.
I wasn't talking about me.
First thing to do is identify the hypotenuse. Identify the hypotenuse, locate the right angle, go straight to the other side, you get the hypotenuse. Okay?
Just saying. That's what it is.
So, that's another method you could use to identify the hypotenuse, okay? I'm not going to use that method. You won't hear me say those things, but it's out there. It's straight through the other side. Alright, so this helps me out. This tells me that x is going to stand by itself on the right side of my equation. X minus 2 and 4 are the legs, okay? So, when we get this, we will have to write x minus 2 squared plus 4 squared equals x squared. I know it's been a year, but when I am multiplying a binomial times itself, I have two methods I can use, FOIL and the box method. So I could use FOIL, x minus 2 times x minus 2.
I remember this.
FOIL is first, outside, inside, last.
Oh.
She got so bad at this.
X squared minus 2x plus 4. Okay? When I combined all that, I would get x squared minus 4x plus 4. If y'all never seen that, you've probably seen this. X minus 2.
Oh,
X
yeah.
minus 2.
Special limits are
Multiply the boxes. X squared minus 2x minus 2x plus 4. Combine your like terms, you're going to get the same thing. Okay? Alright? You won't see that on every problem today, but in case you do see that, don't forget how to do that. That's one of the harder concepts of algebra that they brought up to geometry. Okay? So they might just understand that's a way for them to test two things, not just one, right? You're testing to see if you understand the Pythagorean theorem, but they're also testing to make sure you didn't forget this, okay? Right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of practice with it today as well, okay? I combine like terms over here. I get negative 4x plus 20. What happened to my x squared? Oh, they added x squared to both sides. Then they added 4x to both sides. Then they divided both sides by 4. They get 5 equals x.
How old are you, Mr. Hobbs?
So
38.
So
Oh, 28.
Alright. 29. So here, okay, same setup, right? Identify your hypotenuse. Got my hypotenuse. Set up the Pythagorean theorem with the hypotenuse by itself on the right side of the equation. X plus 4 squared is on the right side of the equation. X squared plus 12 squared equals x plus 4 squared. So you would have to do what right here, guys? What does that tell you you're going to have to do? FOIL or box, right? Distribute, multiply it by itself. Those are all same concept, okay? All right? You got to take x plus 4, multiply it by itself by distributing it to itself using FOIL or the box method, right? I just want you guys to make sure it's probably been a year or more since you've seen that. So I'm going to show you that again today. Should I go with that? Any questions on that?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Real quick, a set of 3, go ahead and write this down. A set of 3 non-zero whole numbers, A, B, and C, that I can plug into A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's called a Pythagorean triple. Okay?
Triple double.
A triple, because it's got how many?
3.
Big 3. Alright? Notice that it says whole numbers. When we talk about whole numbers, it also says non-zeros. So let's talk about this real quick. Non-zero whole numbers are going to be numbers that, what? Like you count with, correct?
C.
Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way as high as we can get to, okay? They are non-zero, so is 0 included? No,
No.
it's not.
God.
Let's take it a step further. Will I have negative numbers here? No, because I'm talking about a length, correct? This is a length of a triangle. I can't have a negative length. So just remember all these things, okay? Guys, you're going to see 3, 4, 5, 5, 12, 13 a lot. You might see 8, 15, 17, 7, 24, 25, but really and truthfully,
28, 30, 32.
Set hut. All right, these are the two pair that you're gonna see the most. Okay, Pythagorean triples.
We can get out of like 310. Cool.
Okay.
I'll fill it.
Y'all work it out. Find the missing side length and tell me if it is a Pythagorean triple. Okay, y'all go ahead. First off,
196.
as with every single Pythagorean theorem problem, I need to identify the what?
The
Identify the
way.
hypotenuse, guys. Every
the
problem. Identify the hypotenuse. In this case, my hypotenuse is going to be the variable that I'm solving for.
X.
Okay? Which means that when I plug in my Pythagorean theorem here, x is by itself on this side of the equation, and the other two sides, which are called the legs, are
You get-
going to be
196 and 2304.
by themselves on the other side. Okay? Take the sum of those legs after I square the values. Mr. Myrick, 196 plus
2304.
2304 equals x squared. What is
You get
196 plus
2500.
196 plus 2304?
Yes.
2500. Okay?
I know.
Now it comes to the next key part that we've already been over many times this year. Mr. Gray, I've got 2500 equals x squared. How do I solve for x here? Square root both sides of the equation to get rid of my exponent, right? So just so we're clear, I get rid of the exponent by taking the square root of both sides. Everybody with me? Miss Croft, when I have
50.
x squared and I want to get it by itself, I'll take the square root of both sides, right? Everybody raise your hand.
50.
Everyone raise your hand. And take my oath. Take your right hand and raise it in the air. Your left hand will work too. I state your name. State your name.
Mr. Hawk.
Will no longer
Philip.
divide both sides of the equation by 2 whenever I have an exponent of 2. So help me God.
Me and Philip was the only one
You
that
have now
did this.
sworn to me that your days of getting something that looks like this and dividing by 2 are over. Okay? You just sworn to me.
Stupid.
Anytime you do that from here out, you are breaking your promise. Alright?
I don't like promises.
Yeah,
Well-
me and Philip never told me.
Shouldn't have made promises you can't keep. Alright.
That's why I didn't keep it.
The converse of the Pythagorean theorem gives you a way to tell if a triangle's a right triangle when you know the side lengths. Hey, we're not going to deal too much with this, okay? We won't deal too much with this. Basically, all this says is if the sum of the squares of the lengths of the two sides of the triangle is equal to the square of the length of the third side, it's a right triangle. Guys, this is just a fancy way of saying if leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared, you have a right triangle. Okay? Everybody hear me? It's just a fancy way of saying if the Pythagorean theorem is true, then you have a right triangle. Okay? Also, if you want to write this down, okay?
You can also use sodomy.
If my hypotenuse side is bigger than the sum of the legs squared, I've got an obtuse triangle. If the sum of the legs squared is bigger than
Some
the hypotenuse side squared,
big square.
then I have an acute triangle. So you want to be able to classify triangles like this.
Then you have a cute triangle.
So, we're really close, just not quite there yet. Alright,
Got you now, son.
check it out. This is what I was just explaining. You don't have to write it down, okay? If the Pythagorean theorem is true, if c squared equals a squared plus b squared, then that means that the measure of angle C is 90 degrees. Another way of saying this, if it's true that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you've got a right angle. Okay? If, however, a squared plus b squared is less than c squared, or if a squared plus b squared is more than c squared, you would either be dealing with an obtuse triangle or a right triangle. I'm sorry, or an acute triangle. Okay? So pay attention to that symbol right there. It's going to tell you what you need to
Them
know
always-
about classifying your triangles.
But it still get right angle if after you squared it equals 90 degrees. Or does something.
If this is true, you've got a right angle. Only when this is true do you have a right angle. Okay? Alright?
Right.
Of course.
Right on, Brett. Alright, I want you to do these two problems. Okay? Do these two problems, then I'll get you on your classwork. Find the value of x. That one should probably take you a couple minutes because you're going to have to, oh yeah,
Put the legs.
okay, do something with that right there. I want everybody to try number 2, okay? I think you'll be able to get it. I promise you, if you don't draw a picture, you don't have a prayer of getting it, okay? So draw a picture out based on what it
Yes,
says.
sir.